I thought you might be interested to see this. Back in the early 90s, there was a version of Windows, Windows 3.11 or Windows for Workgroups, and effectively what that allowed you to do was create small groups of desktop machines that could share resources between them. That could be for file sharing purposes, could be for email without the need for a full-blown server at the back end. So what we've got here is just a couple of virtual Windows for Workgroups machines, 3 actually. So you can see here, this one labelled clone of Microsoft Windows 3.11 brackets 1. So we're going to refer to this as machine 1. Clone of Microsoft Windows 3.11 brackets 5. We'll refer to this as machine 5. I'm not running up the others in between, no need for that. So there's 2 machines there. And then here, Microsoft Windows 3.11 brackets server. Now, all 3 machines are actually just desktop machines, effectively, or they would be if they were physical. Obviously, they're virtual. So in reality, if these were running on physical hardware, then a user could sit down at each of these machines and do whatever they needed to do, knock up the documents, etc. This machine here is also doubling up as the server though. So typically, if you've got a small group of users, it would be the one that's least used, perhaps, if that's possible. And what we've got running here is the print manager. So this is acting as a print server, and there's no physical printer attached, but I can show you it working. At least I can show you the print queue. And Windows for Workgroups also included rudimentary email system, very similar to Microsoft Mail in many respects. So it's folder-based email, but stripped down. So it didn't include support for any gateways or whatever. It would only be of any use for exchanging emails with attachments potentially within a relatively small group of users. But there was the option to upgrade to full-blown MS Mail at a later date if that's what you wanted to do. So if you're working on a project right now and you need a high quality PCB starting at just $5 or some 3D printing even, you might want to check out our sponsor PCBWay. So let's have a quick look at this. So Windows for Workgroups. There's no additional software, this is a fairly basic build. So we've got Windows for Workgroups, we've got the network drivers installed as well, and we've got audio drivers are also installed for what it's worth. So we have a look at this machine. Let's get in the right box. Okay, so we've got our file manager here. Now what I've done is I've mapped a drive, in this case drive F. Now there's nothing in that drive at the moment, and that drive is actually mapped to the machine RTS6 and the shared data. Now RTS6 is this machine over here that we're using as the server, and if I show you that, so we're going to File Manager on here, and we can see there I've got a directory or a folder off the root of my C drive, which I've created a couple of additional folders. I've got one called Data and one called Mail, and I'm sharing out the root of that data folder. There we go. Now there's nothing in there currently, but if I were to create a document in there, better still, we'll create it from the other machine, since that's effectively acting as the client. So let's just close File Manager. I don't have Office installed, but what we do have is Write. Okay, so there's a simple document. If we save that as, pop it in drive F, yes, one doc will do, and it will append a WRI extension to that, so we'll drop that in there, and then we can close that. Then perhaps I need one of my colleagues to go and take a look at that document. So if I pull up my email, You can see here, if I click on Compose, it looks just like Microsoft Mail. It basically is. Okay, and I'm going to send an email to user RTS5. Okay. Okay. There we go. There's our email. We'll click send. Now, this is set to poll, so it'll poll once a minute is the way I've got it set up. The default is 10 minutes, but set it up whichever way works for you. So effectively what it's going to do is it's going to write that email into the folder structure, and let me show you the folder structure. So here we've got C shared mail, WGPO, Workgroups post office shared out, and that's what we've connected to from the client. Now I've already configured it, so nothing to show you there, but let's just come out of that one, and we can see here on RTS5 that we've got mail. Okay, so if we open that, there you go. That's the email that we sent, or was sent by user RTS1 on the other virtual machine. Let me just reply to that. Okay. So we'll let them know we're going to review their document and get back to them. Then just go into the file manager and look at our F drive, which is the share. We can see, there you go, there's that document. Thanks very much. We'll have a quick look at that. Yeah, wasn't that interesting? Okay, done. So that's it for file sharing and basic email. Not much to it really. Let's just have a look at printing. So now we've reviewed that document, I'll reply again to say, have reviewed, doc, all okay, go ahead and print. So we'll click send on that. And we'll go back. We can minimise the email, but it doesn't matter either way. We'll leave it minimised. Simulate a user one having gone off and grabbed himself a cup of coffee, or herself. Okay, there we go. So we're going to check that email. Okay, there's the second one. Have review doc, all okay, go ahead and print. Sure, let's do that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the share this time, pick that document up, obviously with any edits that had been made to it, and we're going to print it. So you can see here that my LPT1 port has been redirected to RTS6 HP, which is the printer that's defined on the machine we're using as the server, and we can see that if we go into the print manager here. There you go, HP desk chat and LPT1 shared as HP. Right, we'll leave that open so we can see what's going on. So if we click OK to print that on the RTS1 user's machine, and there you go, you can see it's in the print queue here, and if we had a printer connected to it, then it should print it out. Obviously we don't, because we're just virtualizing this environment. And that's essentially the basics of what you could do with Windows Workgroups. Now obviously then if you outgrew this environment, then you could replace the machine or machines that you were using as servers and upgrade them to something a bit more substantial. Whether it was at the time Microsoft LAN Manager, which was obviously replaced by Windows NT, or Novell NetWare or whatever. Obviously some implications in terms of the client software that you need to install on the machines, but other than that it wouldn't be a problem. And similarly, as we said earlier, if you needed to, you could upgrade the email system to something a bit more comprehensive and flexible. There you go. In essence, that's a simple workgroup environment from the early 90s. Anyway, hope that was of some interest. I will catch you on the next one. Cheers for now, guys.